Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Talk. I'm Young Hydro, and today I have special guest Señor Aguas on the show, who's a huge fan of the group New Edition.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and before we get started, I have a few questions for you. Tell me what was like your first experience with New Edition, and when did you become a huge fan of New Edition, and why?
Man, I tell you, man, I was in 10th grade, man. Don't tell my wife this. I was in 10th grade, man, and I heard Lost in Love, man, and that got me over, man, because I was like really lost, like, and that song hit it. You know, New Edition was already out. They had Candy Girl and Popcorn Love and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when I heard Lost in Love, man, that put me over.
Yeah.
You know, that got me through them early years in high school, boy, I tell you. You know?
Yeah, and that's correct me if I'm wrong, but that was before Bobby Brown split from the group, correct?
Yeah, that was before. See, they had hits before. You know, they were still kind of bubblegum. You know, they were still kind of, you know, they was in the young stages. Like I said, I was young.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I came up on the Jackson 5, and the Jackson 5 were actually the Jacksons. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it was changing during the times, let me tell you.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, I'm a millennial. I grew up in a time where, you know, I only knew New Edition through my father, but I got a lot of knowledge from him. And I also watched the New Edition documentary. And based on the documentary, and I even watched some interviews from the New Edition members, there's some controversy when Johnny Gill came into the group and Bobby Brown left. So what was your take on when Bobby Brown left and that transition stage where it was just the 4 members, and then when Johnny Gill came in?
Look, I'll tell you this. If Johnny Gill would not have joined that group and Bobby Brown would have stayed, and they would have worked it out, because it was controversy. It was controversy with the Jackson 5 when Jermaine left. That's why they became the Jacksons. With New Edition, they were so young, and they didn't know a lot. But had Bobby Brown stayed with that group, we wouldn't be talking about Johnny Gill today. We wouldn't be talking about him. Because Johnny Gill was around back when they were doing Candy Girl, and back when they were doing their the Lost in Love, Mr. Telephone Man. Right. Bobby Brown, Johnny Gill was still doing things with Stacey Lattisaw, but she was putting him over. So that Don't Be Cruel album, if Bobby would have stayed and they would have worked everything out, all them songs from Don't Be Cruel, they would have been on New Edition's album. That's how bad they would have been. We wouldn't even be speaking about Johnny Gill.
Okay. Well, I know that, you know, Johnny Gill, he may have not been as successful in his solo career prior to New Edition. However, and this is my opinion, I feel like Johnny Gill did take New Edition to that next level, like that next that next stage of maturity. I feel like if Bobby Brown stayed in the group would have been held back. I mean, we're aware of Bobby Brown's personality flaws and the controversy that he brought to the group. I kind of felt like them taking Bobby Brown out the group was a blessing in a disguise. And then when Johnny Gill came in, I felt like the group just came into a whole nother level. Johnny Gill had that feel to it.
They did. And I don't take anything away from Johnny Gill and his powerful voice, but Bobby Brown had shackles on him. So you see what Bobby Brown did when he left. Now, his first album, which had Girlfriend on it, and what was that? The guy from Cameo produced one of his songs, Girl Next Door. And that album, it didn't take off. But he had shackles on him with New Edition. So now let me ask you, when you say that Johnny Gill took New Edition to another level, what do you think of Bobby Brown's song Roni? It didn't sound too bubblegum. Neither did Rock With You, or Don't Be Cruel, or My Prerogative. All hits. You know what I'm saying? They were all hits. And at the same time, New Edition came out with their was it the Heartbreak album, I believe Johnny Gill was on. Yeah. And he did take them to that other level. Different sound. Johnny Gill has a powerful voice. But if they had took the shackles off Bobby Brown, they worked out the differences and stayed in the group, we're not talking about Johnny Gill. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking nothing away from his powerful voice.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at New Edition, and let me ask you this. If It Isn't Love, what do you think of that song? Is that a hit?
Yes, that's a hit.
Johnny Gill's voice is not in there.
Correct.
There's a lot of songs that Johnny Gill took. What was it that he did? The Boys to Men song?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Boys to Men song, Can You Stand the Rain?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at when Bobby Brown did come back to the group, and they did Hit Me Off and those type of songs,
Yeah.
Home Again, did you see how powerful his voice was?
Yeah.
He had a powerful voice.
Yeah.
You take Johnny Gill out, look at it. Let me ask you this. Out of the 3 albums, and I'm gonna throw BBD in there, and we all know BBD was them some bad boys when they with that Poison
I
album.
was a monster. Yeah.
If you put all 3 of them albums, you go BBD, the Don't Be Cruel album, and the Heartbreak album.
Mm-hmm.
We could throw Ralph in there, but we ain't gonna do that because out of those top 3 albums, which one would you listen to first?
Well, since you threw the BBD Poison album in there, I'm definitely throwing in the Poison album in first.
Okay. And then which one would you listen to? Out of Johnny Gill and Bobby Brown.
That's a pretty good one. You know what? I might have to put in the Bobby Brown. I might have to put in
because you see, the My was his most powerful song.
Right.
Till this day.
But let me just point this out though, okay? New Edition, I feel like with the 4 members, Ricky, Ronnie, Mike, Ralph. When it was just those 4, I don't think they would have been as big as we wouldn't be talking about New Edition as we are today. I felt like Johnny Gill was a necessity. I'm not taking anything away from Bobby Brown's contributions to the group, but Johnny Gill, and of course, Johnny Gill and New Edition coming together benefited both of their careers.
Let me tell you something about this. It helped Johnny Gill more than it did New Edition.
Oh no, I disagree.
It helped it, and that's why I'm kind of biased because they were successful before he came. Take the indie heartbreak. Take indie heartbreak. What's that?
With Bobby Brown, they were successful, but if it was just those 4 members, they would have been done.
If it was just those 4, they would have evolved into what BBD did. They would have evolved because they wouldn't have had a choice. You take away Johnny Gill, they wouldn't have had a choice. Now, Ralph would have played a lower role, but did you see what BBD did? With just those 3?
Yeah.
I think when Johnny Gill came, it actually held those 3 back because they were still trying to get that Temptations vibe, that stylistics vibe going in there. And these 3 guys wanted to evolve. You see them coming out with a big button and smile? New Edition wasn't talking about that.
No, I think Johnny Gill coming in really made them challenge themselves. Johnny Gill made them want to diversify who they are, and to make, people like Michael Bivins, Ron DeVoe, Ricky Bell, to really find themselves, find their own personalities, find a way they can contribute. I think Johnny Gill, to some extent, probably contributed to BellBivDevoe.
Yeah, he did. If Bobby doesn't leave that group, we're not talking about BellBivDevoe. If Johnny Gill didn't leave, because I think he did it, I think he was dirty the way he did it because he came in, and they did 1 album and he was gone, and left those 3 there. So it was a blessing in disguise, I think, for those 3. Mm-hmm. But I do think that Bobby Brown if Bobby Brown would have stayed, they worked out their differences. They give Bobby a little bit of leeway. We know Bobby Brown. We know it wouldn't work in hindsight. We just gotta speculate what would have been.
Right.
But I think if they had took the shackles off of him, let him be Bobby, we ain't talking about Johnny Gill. We know it wouldn't have happened. It couldn't have happened the way Bobby was. It couldn't happen because none of them got along. You know, none of them got along. As you see in documentaries, none of them got along. But if they work out their differences, that Don't Be Cruel album becomes a New Edition album. You know what I'm saying? That Don't Be Cruel album, all those songs incorporated with the Heartbreak album. Man, come on, man. Do you understand I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I really don't think you understand what I'm saying. Bobby Brown stay in the group. I mean, he tore Mr. Telephone Man up. You seen the movie. He didn't want to get off the stage.
Yeah.
You look at that song Home Again. When him and Johnny Gill were on there. Come on, man. Bobby Brown cut that up.
Yeah.
Hit me off.
Yeah.
When all 6 of them was on there.
Speaking of the Home Again album, man, I would love to see all 6 members do another project. We didn't get that. Man, I know New Edition, they came back with another album in, I think, 2004 called One Love with, on Bad Boy Records. It didn't sell too well. I think it went gold.
Speaking of that, Johnny Gill had a cut on there, man, I love. I think it was called Come Home With Me Tonight or Summer. Man, he tore that. He ripped that song up. That didn't get a lot of props.
Yeah.
But when you look at, like I said, you look at it, if it is in love, you don't hear the vocals of Johnny Gill. There's one song where I think they're talking about I'm coming home. You, Mike Bivins, come on, trying to get his girl on the line, and the answer machine come on. A nice classic ballad. You don't hear Johnny Gill on there. In fact, in any Heartbreak, Johnny Gill come on at the end singing all that like that. But we get classic New Edition even without his voice. But had Bobby been there, man, it's a different sound. I'm telling you, I tell you this with love, man. Johnny Gill, man, has a powerful voice, but it's a different voice. You see how when he went to LSG with Sweat and Levert?
Yeah.
Those two got powerful voices. Keith Sweat, kind of whiny, but it worked for him. But man, with those two, Levert and Gill, powerful voices, but it's just a different sound.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a different sound.
Yeah. Well, regardless, we both agree that New Edition is one of the greatest R&B groups of all time. Of course, they evolved so much, I think, more than any other group ever.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, where do you think New Edition will rank as like the greatest R&B groups of all time?
Well, we talking about different eras because you go all the way back to the Stylistics and the Temptations. You know what I'm saying? Then you bring the OJs. You know what I'm saying? And the Commodores. And you don't want to disrespect them. Even the Jacksons, and before there was the Jacksons, the Jackson 5. When you don't have them, you don't have New Edition. But in the eras that they went through, because they started in the 80s and then went through the 90s, and we in 2020, and we still talking about them. Right. So they are up there in their class. And no disrespect to any of the groups that came before them, because like I'm old school. You know what I'm saying? I'm old school, man. My favorite group, man, was the OJs, man. You can throw in Kool and the Gang, and but New Edition, man, they just transcend so many. They overcame so much without getting paid. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's the issue.
Like all the groups of the past getting robbed, right, man. But I would put them in the top 10. They would be in the top 10. Yeah. A top 10, man, for me, because it was part of my childhood, and I kind of grew up with them. They would be in my top 10, man.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I feel like with any generation, if you're a fan of R&B music, I think New Edition should be in the top 10. You have to acknowledge the longevity, the revolving of the group. I mean, they have their own little alter ego. You got BellBivDevoe, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
Separate group.
A lot of it came out of it, man. Ricky Bell. He tried to get his own album, man. I think it went 10. It went copper. But they all were successful in their own right. And then not only that, We get Boys to Men that came out of it because Michael Bivins did that. We got another Bad Creation that came out of it. Bobby Brown tried to do his own thing. And Bobby Brown didn't get a lot of credit because, man, when he did that song with Humping Around, man, that's my, come on. That's a jam, man. And Girlfriend. And Johnny Gill just keeps evolving. But, you know, and I'd have to say this, I know a lot of people agree, he never quite was a New Edition member to me. He just never was quite a New Edition member to me. And I love the sound. Can You Stand the Rain? He just didn't quite fit in with New Edition to me. And that's just me. He is going to be considered a part of the group that, like you said, got him over, changed their sound. But when you talk about New Edition, we're talking BBD. We're talking about Ralph. Ralph had his Sensitivity album. He had 2 albums after that. It did nobody buy it. I think he was right in front of Ricky Bell, you know.
Yeah, and what's interesting about New Edition is that their lead singer actually didn't have a very, you know, successful solo career. Usually,
right, not at all.
Yeah, most of the time, the lead singers, when they have a solo career, they branch off and they're successful. But
Teddy, this might be before your time, like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Teddy Pendergrass broke off and became successful. They don't even remember Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
That's true, actually.
That's key right there. You know, like David Ruffin, he had some success, you know, with the Temptations, but Ralph couldn't quite cut it. Johnny Gill had a powerful voice, and still till to this day, he still puts music out. A lot of ballads, you know, for the ladies and you know, old school. And when you look at his concerts, he's always booked with old school. And when you see BBD, you still have Mike Bivins with the hat on and the boots and the, you know, the mental.
Right.
But it's just totally different sounds, man.
Yeah, and that's the wonderful thing about New Edition and their history. Hey, so if you guys want to call in, you could call in at 818-755-9311, and we'll take your calls. Right now, we're going to pay some bills. And we'll be back